Okay, so why is resilience such an important trait? Why do most successful people have a really high level of resilience? It's because in order to be successful, you have to go through countless numbers of failures. Everyone's heard the story of Colonel Harlan Sanders, who was rejected over 1,000 times for his secret recipe in various meetings with entrepreneurs. And it was only after 1,000+ meetings that he finally was accepted for his idea. And now as a result, KFC is the world's largest food chain. You know, there's countless stories of entrepreneurs, sports people, business people, politicians, warlords, warriors, poets, you name it, who had to go through setbacks and challenges in order to achieve something great. Very rarely will someone achieve their goal on the first try. So it's inherent that if we don't create a trait of resilience, it's not something that people are either born with or not born with, it's something that you can foster and develop. If we don't create this trait of resilience, when we fail, we won't be able to get back up and keep fighting, right? One of the main reasons that a lot of people today struggle with resilience is that we live in a far more sensitive age than we used to. We live in the age of feelings and talking about your problems. And Jordan Peterson speaks about this, but one of the biggest symptoms or causes of depression is what they call rumination, which is an unhealthy obsession over your own feelings. Now, am I saying that you should become some blank stone wall that never feels anything, never experiences anything, never cries, never laughs? Absolutely not by any means. But what I'm proposing is that you become the kind of person who isn't victim to their emotions. They're able to experience, feel, and let their emotions pass and constantly refocus on what's important and what steps they need to take. The reality is, guys, that life is brutal and that brutality is unavoidable. If that brutality hasn't come for you yet, I'm sorry to say that it will at some stage. Life is full of turmoil and life is full of chaos. By becoming someone who can weather the storm, you are far more likely to make it out into the bright sunny day. Going through life without developing a real mental backbone is like living in Florida and not having, wood to board up the windows when the storm comes. The other reason that resilience is such an important trait is it's a huge predictor of success. As mentioned with stories like Colonel Harlan Sanders, if you want to be successful in life, not just in business, you need to be able to become someone who can bounce back. And for me personally, the reason that I'm constantly working to become more resilient is that I know that my family relies on me. My mum and dad need me to be able to help them with their problems when they pop up. I need to be able to help my partner with her problems when they pop up. And I need to be essentially self-reliant when it comes to solving my own problems. I want to and I need to become the rock for the people that matter to me. So then the question becomes, what can I do to become someone who is more resilient, right? Which is a really important question. You've got to start with having a clear mission and a clear plan. Patrick Bet-David talks about this as both will and skill. Will is the undying and relentless desire to achieve what you're capable of. Will push you through the hardest times that you can possibly experience in your life. Skill is having the knowledge, the know-how, and the plan to be able to work with that will to achieve your goals, right? Having a really strong mission and plan, having both will and skill, means that when you're in times of emotional turmoil, you can focus on the mission, the big reason that you're wanting to do what you want to do, your why, let's call it. In times that you're emotionally stable but you're feeling lost, you can return to the plan and the steps necessary to get closer to your goal. So the actionable tips that I'm going to give you for how you can actually build a higher level of resilience, you need to do things that either are really hard and make you scared and afraid to do them, or you need to take actions that will strengthen your mind and strengthen your emotional regulation. So do difficult and scary things. Talking skydiving, doing a 12-week charity fight program and jumping in the ring with a stranger, jumping in a cage and going shark diving. Things that scare you and that are difficult and hard mean that when you face difficulty or hard things in your life or in your business, you've got the mental strength to overcome those things. And then you've got the actual training of your brain, strengthening your emotional regulation and strengthening your backbone, essentially. Things like journaling, meditation, visualization, doing gratitudes. When you're truly grateful for the good things that you do have in your life, when you're faced with a setback or a failure, you're able to lean into the things that you're grateful for and push forward. The other thing that you really need to do if you want to create an identity of resilience is create leverage. It's what Jordan Peterson refers to as future authoring. What does my life look like 5 years from now if I'm someone who continually cannot get back up after they've been knocked down? Versus what does my life look like 5 years from now if I'm constantly able to recover from my setbacks and keep moving forward no matter what, right? Having that visual image of what your life will look like helps create the leverage to be that resilient person. The third thing, and this is a really actionable thing, is that when I'm in the middle of, receiving some really bad news or something's gone wrong in my life or I've dealt with a really big setback, I ask myself, will this matter 5 years from now? If it's not going to matter 5 years from now, I shouldn't spend more than 5 minutes worrying or ruminating on it. If I know that it's a short-term problem and there's a short-term, plan that I can use to get through it, that's all I'm going to focus on. But focusing in on your problems only begets more problems in your life. My final actionable tip for becoming a resilient person is being able to catch yourself thinking and return to breath. So let's say, for example, you run a sales team. One of you guys has gotten a really serious compliance breach. The domino effect there is serious. You may have to fire a top performer. You may lose the client. You now have no client. How are you going to pay your staff or pay your bills? There is a long series of negative spiral thinking that you can go down if you don't catch yourself in that moment. So it's being aware of your emotional state and then actually catching yourself and returning to breath. I like to employ a 3-3-3 breathing technique. I'll breathe in deeply all the way into my chest for 3 seconds. I'll hold for 3 seconds and then I'll exhale for 3 seconds. This breathing alone brings a sense of calm and certainty. And then once I've done 2 minutes of that breathing exercise, I'll then do some really simple affirmations. I'm someone who can overcome this problem. This problem won't matter in 5 years from now. It's time that I took the steps to solve it. And you just repeat that mantra to yourself over and over. All of a sudden that emotional turmoil is gone. And now you can refocus logically on the steps that you need to take to overcome that problem. So to recap, guys, resilience is a character trait that is not only desirable, but it's necessary for long-term success. And it means that the people in your life can rely on you when things go wrong, and that no matter how many failures, setbacks, or challenges you face, you'll always be able to get back up and keep fighting.